And we should hopefully be live.
And we should hopefully...
Yes, thank you for the echo.
Sorry about that.
Indeed. That's different. I always blame Carlos on that. I didn't realise. I always thought it was Carlos.
No, mine's always switched off. Well, the volume is on YouTube anyway.
Okay, very good. Well done, you. Well done, you.
Oh, I wonder why it's so dark in here.
Well, we've actually got sunshine here for the first time for, well, what seems like months.
I know. And I've had to block it all out.
Yes.
Ain't no sun shining.
The weather has been appalling, hasn't it?
It has.
Absolutely.
It has. Oh, honestly, on Sunday, so it was the Pink Ladies tractor run on Sunday. 190 tractors basically in procession around Halston and surrounding villages, including Rushall, where I was sat with Park Radio and a pub. In a pub. I think it's the best way to watch a procession of that nature. And honestly, the procession was all very successful. Lots of tractors go by, blah, blah, blah. Loads of, just shy of £1 million raised for Cancer Research UK. Absolutely incredible. So very proud to be part of that. And then we were sitting there having a drink afterwards. And we were in this marquee that they'd set up because the weather was a bit rubbish. So they put a marquee up outside the front there where the park bench, they got picnic benches and stuff out the front. And that's all like, and we were sat there chatting away, and what I can only describe as end of days weather. Appeared like the most horrific thunderstorm I've ever seen in my life. That was literally over the top of us. It was hailing. Bearing in mind we're in July, and it was hailing. It was just like, I don't know. It's like, is that genuinely that week and a half that we had? What, 2 weeks ago? Was that it? Have we missed it?
Well, I hope not. I hope there's more to come. But we have had a few summers like this, haven't we, where it's been a bit.
I know. I can't believe I'm saying
it hasn't really got going, basically.
I saw that picture that Carlos posted of like the weather turning bad, and it looked like a Carolinas style angry. Yeah. Rolling dark cloud.
Yeah, and you're thinking, where's Carlos? Yeah, where in the world is Carlos? Wait, where has he got that from? Yeah, absolutely.
When I put the radar map up with the storm, that shows you where the storm cells are, and there was 5 individual storm cells just over where we are here in Waveney Valley, which is why there was literally just flash, bang, flash, bang, and it's just constant.
And I was at Rushall, which was right in the heart of it, and I've never seen anything like it. We stayed outside, though, because we're British. We don't go inside just because it's a little inclement. That's not how this game works at all.
Well, we've been doing the opposite here in the Carolinas. It's been face of the sun hot for probably 2 weeks now. I mean, heat indexes well into the hundreds almost every day. It's just miserable to do anything outside.
Right. Yeah. You're air conditioned inside at least, aren't you? I suppose there is that.
Yeah, we do have that here.
Thank goodness, because I think that would be utterly unbearable if that was the case. I say in many ways, of course, in Dubai, I mean, where they have more the most ridiculous weather, and in the entire world in terms of that. But of course, they're geared for it, aren't they? So you do literally walk from your
it's a dry heat, they say.
Yeah, a dry heat. Yeah, but because you go from your air conditioned building to your air conditioned bus stop, where you get on an air conditioned bus that takes you to the air conditioned terminal. It's just like they're just set up for it, aren't they? Let's hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to be very miserable in November.
You could come back like 10 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Because you've just sweated it all out.
I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. Yeah.
Just go for walks every morning when it's already.
Yeah, just go to a little lap.
1,000 degrees.
Well, as I say, I know somebody who takes their dog for a walk in Dubai like 3 times a day. Terrifying.
My dogs wouldn't make it to the end of the block.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, too much. Oh dear, never mind. I need to do the socials thing. Are you going to look after that, Carlos?
I will plug in new.
Hang on, I ain't done it yet.
Just let me know when I'll hit.
Yeah, it may be subject to change next week, by the way, because of service providers changing here. Oh, no. Why is that letting me connect one? Oh, I nearly said a very bad word there, Nev.
You said damn and blast.
I did. I nearly said feck. It was so close.
That St Athens site is huge, by the way, Carlos. That
Yeah, it looks big on their web when their Facebook page when they do the video posts on there.
Amazing, absolutely huge. So
it would have been nice if you could have gone there when they had all the BA 74s lined up.
Yes, but I wasn't invited. So,
No.
No.
Unfortunately. So, yeah, no, it was good though. It was very good.
Right, I think I've got everything set up.
Now, I'm not a big football fan, but I tend to watch when we're playing. I wonder what the score will be later on. And I wonder whether we'll have to go through the pain of penalties.
We should be wrapping up during the half time. All being well.
So as long as we finish promptly.
Yes, we will be finishing promptly this evening.
Folks can go and watch the remainder of it, can't they?
Oh, Matt, you've got that video, right? In the NAS drive? The overlook video?
Is it... I think it's...
What's that one for, Mondo?
This one.
Hey, guys.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
When are we putting that one out? Let me know.
Today.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Oh.
Do you want to
we don't today.
Do you want to... I wish we...
Well, bearing in mind he's only here for an hour.
Tell you what, we'll do...
I mean, I wasn't planning on being here, so you can play it out whenever you want.
No.
We'll slot that in at the end of the commercial.
Okay. So we'll keep it snappy, yeah? As I say, we don't want to hold Armando up.
We'll keep it snappy.
Delighted to have you here, sir. It's a real privilege.
Right, let me just make a note of that in the no-shows.
It's not about it. I don't have a beautiful bar backdrop.
Yeah. There's a bit of a drought in your bar. Yeah.
Speaking of that, there's a minute and a half left. Let me go get a beverage.
Right. Fair enough. Understood.
I wonder if he can do a northeastern English accent.
Worth a try. We could always ask, couldn't we? Right. So we are 30 seconds to clock, people.
Hokey pokey.
You give me what's it?
There we go. Just added that in there so we know that's in there.
Here we go. I haven't got any... Why can't I see any of the...
Oh, did you want me to click on the thing now?
Oh, you can give it a go if you like.
Yeah. Right, no doing it. No. Yep, straight on. Straight away.
Okay, jolly good. There we go. And the clock is running, so here we go.
Way!
Why order.
Nev's going to stroll in on camera with a couple of bottles of Pinot.
Nev?
Just to make up for Andy not being here this week.
Oh. What are you insinuating?
That he loves his good wine.
Okay. Anyway, here we go.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 510 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, two airlines get tough. It's fight night on a Ryanair flight, and one worker wishes they had not taken a sicky day. In the military news this week, we'd like to take a look at the longest ever visit to a fuel pump, and we also take a look at some exciting news within the Royal Air Force. So, joining me this week, across the village in a slightly less warmer climb this week. It's, of course, Matt Smith.
It's warm enough in here, I can assure you. My goodness. Hello, how are you? Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry, it should have been a picture of me. Hello, there we go.
Oh, there we go. I'm good. Do you know what I did say this afternoon when I went outside, Matt? It was really humid this afternoon.
It is. It's really humid. Yeah. Yeah, indeed, it is. It is proper weird. It's still light outside. I mean, we are past the longest day now, of course.
Oh no, is that when they start to draw in now?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You know, that week and a half of good weather we had. That was our summer.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm joking, but I don't think I am.
I feel like I should have sent that picture that I posted on my social medias with what I done that.
What I done?
But the summer 2024, that's all, folks.
Oh, I see.
Pig
right,
background.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? But yes, I haven't seen you this week, Matt. You've been quiet this week. We've
busy.
I've not been chauffeur.
No, indeed not. No, indeed. I was. I need a lift on Friday. Yes, I need a lift on Friday, but obviously sadly that's not a good day for you. So because he only does half days on a Friday.
There is potential this week. There's been whisperings within the business, which is exciting for me.
Yeah, not so good for me, but anyway, and it's all about me.
I have a very important engagement this Friday as well, which I can't miss.
Right,
it's called barbecue and beer.
Right. Okay. How does that differ to every weekday night exactly? Just out of curiosity.
Well, normally it's a Saturday, isn't it? When you tend to have parties on a Saturday, Friday nights are a bit different for me to have a party. But
well done.
Yes, well done.
Happy
me.
days.
Anyway, he's back again this week from his holidays with a gorgeous background as well as always. It is, of course, our resident flyer of BA. It's Neville Bounds.
Well, it was a bit of a holiday and a bit of work, and but a really good visit to the Swedish Aviation Museum. There was lots of military stuff there, so I didn't understand any of it, but nonetheless, I took some video of it, and I shall be presenting that video to you next.
Oh, we appear to have lost. Right, okay. Just bear with me a moment, guys. We seem to have lost all of the... we've obviously had a bit of a problem here in my studio, so just bear with me a moment. Ah, dear. Nev has got a very unfortunate expression on his face. Bear with me. Right, just bear with a sec while I try and work out quite what's going on.
And hopefully bring you some content from that next week.
Sincere apologies, guys. I lost you there for a brief moment, basically as soon as Nev started. So we're going to have to just do that a bit again when I've reset the connection. So sincere apologies.
It went out just fine.
Right.
I did wonder why Nev his expression on YouTube was like...
Yeah, indeed. Unfortunately, I lost everything. It does appear to have come back. So if you just bear with me a moment, I'm just going to... try and reset the connection.
It is live at the minute anyway.
Yes, no, it is now. The streaming didn't drop. So just bear with me. Sorry, I don't know. So sorry about this, guys. We don't normally have issues like this. So just bear with me.
We haven't had an issue like this for a
Perhaps
long
you should change internet service provider.
Good news there. Good news there. That's on the cards. There we are. They're back. Look, there we go. Okay. So what you need to do, Carlos, is do your introduction. The easiest thing to be. Nev, actually, to be fair, if we switch to you, you just do your introduction again, and then I'll join it all up.
Right, so I'll just say what I was doing last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
but you said it so well the first time. It was great. Except this time, I need a little bit more.
Double the appearance fee. Okay.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that, children. Okay. When you're ready, sir.
Well, it wasn't really a holiday last week. It was a bit of work, but also some work for the podcast. Actually, went to the fantastic Swedish Aviation Museum, and next week I shall be showing you some of the content that I shot there as well. I would actually like to go back for a second visit at some point and see if we can interview some of the volunteers that are there as well. But it was just a quick sort of what I would call an iPhone video shoot. But there was some fascinating stuff there. Lots of military stuff. stuff, lots of stuff that I didn't understand. But nonetheless, I'm going to talk about it next week.
Oh, good.
Which will be interesting and factually inaccurate.
Lovely, excellent. Well, a bit like APG. They only ever strive for 50%.
Well, there you go. So, I came back from Stockholm on Wednesday, which is why I couldn't do the show last week. So I came back quite late last week. But no, very nice weather there. They had got some decent weather finally, about 22 degrees. But of course, quite warm there for 22 degrees. It's a lot further north, so the sun's far more intense. You can get burnt quite easily as well. So, no, great trip, and looking forward to going back again at some point. I'll try and do that before the end of the year for a follow-up visit. But no, great to be back on the show this week.
And I'm sure our super special guest, Carlos, will be very excited to hear all about the military content that's going to be spoken about.
Well, I'm sure he'll be correcting me considerably as well. So.
Yes, Andy's unfortunately with us this evening. He's got a birthday commitment. He's been taken out by his lovely wife for a special evening away. So he's going to be enjoying himself this evening with a few beers, I do imagine. But he's had quite a busy week doing a lot of all the sim stuff that Andy does for the airline that he flies for. But he'll be back soon, hopefully. But stepping in just at the very last minute, literally, he's back. Our resident military specialist of all things that fly very fast. It is, of course, Armando.
Well, I think specialist is a very kind word, considering Nev just let out our secret that even I just go to Wikipedia for even the military information. You don't think Captain Nick actually has the time to do all that research for his plane tales? Literally, we all just go to Wikipedia. Anyway.
He just uses AI.
That's true. Wow, okay. Goodness. Trying to put
he's like the grandfather of AI, though. So like when the robots take over, it's just going to be Nick on a throne, with all his robots coming after the rest of us.
And I dare say he would enjoy that very much.
It's very appropriate for Nick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how are things, Armando? How is everything? How's life?
Life is great. Lots of flying. I'm sure that all of you guys who track the usual tail numbers that I fly, we've been all over the East Coast in the last couple months. So lots of flying. Summertime in the South, just fighting weather almost every day. But like what I was saying before the show too, it's like face of the sun hot. So sometimes even at 30,000 feet, 35,000 feet, we're 18. I've seen 18, 19 degrees above standard, ISA plus 19. So the airplanes go slower. The airplanes don't go as fast. You have a longer time getting up to the high 30s and the 40s. It's just miserable. Ugh.
Did I read right in an article online this week, Armando, that in Nevada at Vegas they reached the temperatures like the hottest they have ever seen?
Well, yeah, I think it's like 119 degrees Fahrenheit without the heat index in Vegas this week, tomorrow. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Wow. That is unreal. You could cook a steak on that. Have a damn good go anyway. Going to say hello to everyone in the chat room tonight who are all anxious to get away to watch England play this evening, I expect, in under an hour's time. But anyway, Richard Adams, hello. Good to see you in there. Hobby Time, hello to you as well. Alpha Juliet, this is top of the evening. Hello. Tanya, hello, Tanya. Good to see you in there. Prop Sky, hello. Richard E. Flagg. Great pictures again this week, Richard. Love those on your website and social media. Masha, hello to Masha. Good to see you as well. And Mark Priestley, hello to Mark. He's on holiday with the grandkids, but they said they gave their granddad permission to watch the show. So that's always good. Jonathan Warner's in this week as well. Good to see you in there. Mr. Warner, I think he escaped to Fairford again this week, taking pictures. Sorry
to interrupt, Carlos. Captain Crew says, just roll into the military at 8 p.m. We can all then fly off. Jonathan Warner underneath has said football equals Snorefest.
Mike Williams.
I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of our listeners.
Two actual, polar opposite opinions.
Mike Williams, good evening to everyone in Radioland.
Okay.
Hello, Mike. Good to hear you, Mike. Good to see you. Who else have we got in there as well? Mark Priestley, Captain Cruise. Bill's in there as well this week. Well, nice to see you in there, Bill. And Reese is in there as well in the chat room. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight on this Wednesday. And it's, what is the date today? It's the 10th of July. We're already whisking our way through July already. Wow, that's awesome. Don't forget, if you listen to us as an audio podcast, we are on YouTube every Wednesday at 7 o'clock with a live show. So you can come and see what fun the chat room is every week. So it's the top of the month, and it's time to say thank you to some very special people indeed. It's the people who donate to the show each month for us and help us stay on air. So, Nev, you've got a list of all our famous people there who've donated to the show this month again.
I have, and as you rightly say, Carlos, we can't do the show without you. So thank you very much for some superb donations from the Patreon folks. Those are Richard Adams, Derek Smith, Bill Aronek, Sam Dawson, Logan Lynch, Alex Robinson, Durges, Sasha Beer, Stephen Ivey, Nick Codling, Luis Casares, Alan White, Stephen Howland, Tanya Wyman, Nicholas Hewitt, Masha Hertz, Ruben Wells, Neil Lanwarn, Graham Haley, Jonathan Warner, Jordan Rose, Andrew Wilson, Captain Jeff, Adam Spink, Liz Piper, Jeff Ward, Benjamin Todd, Jenny Parkinson, Stuart Backer, and Stephanie Plummer. And for those that have kindly donated by PayPal, that's Craig Eurosco and Mazus Kareem. Thank you very much indeed to one and all of you, because that really does help us keep the costs down of the show. Means we can bring you even better content every week.
Yes, so big thanks to all those people. Very much appreciated indeed. And I think that the next purchase we'll be making soon will be some new posh, swanky video editing software for Matt to redo the credits. So that'll be quite fun.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
So we've got some commercial news to get through. We've got the Caption This Just for Fun is back this week as well, and the military news. Loads to get through. So, Matt, if you're ready, if the team's ready, let's do it.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
And the first story this week comes from simpleflying.com, and it's all about the two Japanese airlines, the two biggest ones, and they are reviewing their policies, and they've created some quite important policies with the airlines. So the ANA, there's two airlines here, ANA and Japan Airlines. ANA Group says that customer harassment could be defined as behaviour that takes advantage of a superior position, acts that constitute illegal activities, or may lead to such activities and actions that harm the working environment of employees. And they give examples of the list below. So this is all about bad behaviour on aircraft, which will feature very much in the next story as well. Verbal abuse, yelling insults, discriminatory remarks, defamation, etc., threatening or intimidating behaviour, and these are all the things that they do not tolerate on their airline. Physical violence, property damage or other aggressive behaviour, actions that disrupt business operations, prolonged detention, multiple complaints, etc., unauthorised access to workspaces. You wouldn't be on the flight deck anyway, even if you tried. Deceptive behaviour towards employees, actions that damage the company's or employees' credibility, acts of voyeurism, stalking, indecent behaviour, obscene remarks, or sexual harassment. ANA says that if a passenger's behaviour is identified as harassment, the individual will be dealt with politely at first. However, if the situation is not controlled, the airline may refuse service to the passenger and even report the person to the authorities. Now, Japan Airlines, JAL, policies are also similar to those of ANA. It considers harassment of any words or deeds that take advantage of a superior position or any actions that constitute or may lead to acts that impede flight safety, among others, and any actions that harm the working environment of employees, and also lists examples such as, and the same again, very similar to ANA, abusive language, aggressive tone, insults, discrimination, slander, etc. Any words or deeds that threaten the staff, excessive unreasonable demands, assault. We'll cover that in the next story. Accessible deeds that disrupt a business operations, prolonged detention, excessive repetition of requests or complaints. Never get those in seat 1A. Unpermitted entry to its workplace. Deeds that deceive employees. My God, they are being quite thorough here. Slander against the company or employees on social media and the internet, and sexual harassment. The airline also outlines various measures to handle such a situation, including approaching the police and lawyers if it all comes to that. So it's safe to say Japan Airlines and ANA are very much clamping down on any disruptive behaviour in the flights. But I will just say, how often do we cover a story on the show regarding Japan Airlines or ANA? Or is it because we just don't ever hear about them?
I mean,
but I don't know about Japan Airlines, but I feel like that's a checklist of like that's our show content, right?
Yeah.
All of these things that they've just, recently codified into aggressive behavior. That's literally what we talk about on the show every week. Even the last couple, the voyeurism. There was that American Airlines flight where somebody was snapping pictures of the flight attendants with their phone. American Airlines just had a person that was, basically doing unmentionable things to themselves on the flight deck, and or not on the flight deck, in the cabin, and they had to turn around and divert the flight. Like, geez, it's unbelievable that we have to put these things in there, huh? But
absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't think it was something that was required really in this day and age, and I think it just goes back to the ongoing respect concern, I think, doesn't it?
Well, I think all that's happening here, and if Singapore is anything to go by, they're just bringing what I would call the ground rules into the air. If having been to Singapore a few times and seen some misbehaviour going on there, the police don't really give you a second chance, and the authorities generally. So I would imagine that this is, I mean, of course, they kind of need this, because when the thing gets to court, they need categories that they can tick to say that there's been an infringement. But what a pity we even have to do them. But I'm afraid with the type of behaviour we've been seeing, not just over the last couple of years, but longer ago than that, it is getting worse. And I think that the cost of a diversion, imagine that. I mean, it's bad enough in the European region, but imagine the cost of a diversion on an intercontinental flight. That is serious bucks, let alone the disruption, the hotels, the passengers and all the rest of it. So I think this is probably overdue, and I'm glad that they have formalised it, I must say.
Absolutely.
It's one thing Armando doesn't have to worry about with his flights, because obviously it's biz class all the way, and there are few people on board the aircraft to worry about. Am I right, Armando?
Certainly not. In all the years that I flew Part 135 charters and Part 91, I've never had a single incident of anything. I've had one medical. That's it.
Yeah, indeed. And one very excitable friend who had a short transition flight from to a maintenance base who literally couldn't believe his luck. But
be careful with that, because that might fall into that last category.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
How excitable.
Yeah, very, very. But I was in view the whole time, I promise, officer.
Now, Matt, you've got the next story, Matt, and you haven't had a good old Ryanair story for a while.
I know. I'm very excitable.
When I saw this, and I couldn't find a decent copy of it, but there is a video of this online if you can find it on social media. But honestly, this was, as rows go, this was pretty epic.
Yeah, the only bit that makes me super nervous about this story is the fact that it's coming from Fox Business News, which. Yeah. I'm sure they're a very reputable publishing organisation, he says, looking at Armando. Anyway, the headline is Mass Brawl Forces Ryanair. Why on earth a site in America is talking about a Ryanair flight? Goodness only knows. But anyway, Mass Brawl Forces Ryanair flight from hell to make emergency landing after just 36 minutes. A Ryanair flight from hell was diverted for... I hate it when they do stuff like this. Was diverted for an emergency landing just 36... Was it an emergency landing, though? Just 36 minutes after takeoff due to a mass brawl that broke out between travellers aboard the aircraft, according to passengers. The flight departed from Agadir in Morocco to London on Wednesday when the disturbance broke out mid-flight, the Sun has reported. Hang on, sorry, this is Fox Business News, and they're talking about the Sun.
I know.
Right.
Called Rupert Murdoch. So.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, okay. It was so stressful. It was like the flight from hell for the third time. An unnamed passenger told the outlet, and it all escalated from that one passenger wanting to change seats. The passenger described how a male passenger had asked a female passenger to switch seats with him so he could sit closer to his family. The woman, who was sitting with her daughter, refused, which triggered an outburst from the man. The woman's husband came to her defence, and the two men came to blows, according to the passenger, who described a subsequent snowball effect that led to a mass brawl. They were trying to punch each other, the 36-year-old passenger told the outlet. One of the families was part of a larger group, so other passengers started to join in. Then a lady in a row behind started to have a panic attack because of everything going on. She was screaming and there was kids crying. During the chaos, the passenger said that a male traveller became ill and the cabin crew gave him oxygen before landing in Marrakesh in Morocco. Ryanair told Fox News Digital in a statement that a small group of passengers became disruptive and that another passenger had become ill during the incident, forcing the pilot to divert to Marrakesh and call ahead for both medical and police assistance. When medics determined that the ill passenger was not fit to fly, the passenger refused to leave the plane and became abusive towards the crew. The airline said police also removed that passenger from the plane. The airline said that the disruptions and the subsequent removal of the passengers lasted nearly 2 hours, forcing the airline to delay the flight until the next day. All affected passengers were provided with overnight accommodation and transport before the flight eventually departed the following day. I wouldn't want to be the person that started all this, because I suspect Ryanair will probably make them pay for the lot, frankly. But
it's
no,
honestly, it's just incredible. It's just unreal.
Richard Adams is suggesting that Fox are probably now going to start a new streaming series of Ryanair flights. Or Ryan Flights.
Very popular.
I'm surprised they didn't charge extra for the in-flight entertainment, is also Bill's suggestion. Definitely.
I love that last little bit there where the passenger that became ill refused to leave the flight.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being the cabin crew and the flight crew? Like, you're on the ground. If you think you've got everything sorted out, there's police on board, and then it all just sparks up again like a campfire that you weren't able to put out. It's like, my day is already long enough. Like, I don't... Come on. Can we just not do this?
Are you jealous, Amanda, you don't get this level of excitement in the US with, your sort of kind of low-cost carriers?
I'm not. Well, I don't know. I think we have our share of issues. I think I'm more scared of being in the back as a passenger when something like this breaks out than I am being up front. At least up front. And Matt, it is an emergency landing because you're behind the locked door in the front. Yeah. You have no idea what's going on. If the cabin crew is telling you that there's numerous passengers, especially a whole family, if there's more than 4 or 5 people in the back that are getting rowdy, I'm going to put that airplane on the ground because I have no idea what's going on back there.
Fair.
And then once the medical happens, now you legitimately are. But there's no left and right boundaries on what constitutes an emergency. Is anything abnormal, and we always like to say emergencies are free, right? You can declare an emergency, just gets you priority handling back to the ground.
Well, forgive my naivety on this one, but I suspect that Marrakesh is not somewhere that's usually in Ryanair's itinerary, shall we say. So I guess some of the complication there would be that the lack of provision, if you like. There's the little support there, but again, an emergency is an emergency, isn't it, at the end of the day? Yeah.
As a pilot, Amanda, would you class that as a pan as a, if you wanted to get down for that kind of situation with her, or would you?
So I think it's more of a cultural regional thing. Andy was talking about it the other day. I think 2 weeks ago there was a kind of a conversation about Mayday versus pan. We don't use pan here in the U.S. very much. So you would either say either Mayday or emergency. You know, but it's absolutely acceptable. It is in the books, but I don't think it's very common here. I would just, and the other thing is, don't be cryptic on the radio. I would just say exactly what it is on the radio and just say, hey, we need to get on the ground. We need priority handling.
Now, Armando, you've got the next story, and we're heading over to your side of the country for.
I love that you gave me a Walmart story.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's stereotyping. So I don't know.
Yes, is the short answer.
I don't know if we're pandering to Rupert Murdoch, but this is also from Fox News. A Florida man is behind bars for allegedly shooting a Walmart delivery drone, making it inoperable in Lake County, Florida, according to deputies. They were called to a Walmart at 1450 John Flake Road in Claremont, Florida, this last Wednesday afternoon after the drone delivery representatives reported the incident to the police. A rep said that the two-man crew was they were doing deliveries in a nearby community, which included mock deliveries to the crew to attract business and interest, according to an affidavit. While waiting for the delivery drone's descent, the crew stood in front of a home. When the drone started to descend out of the sky, one of the reps said that he heard a loud sound consistent with a gun, according to deputies. That rep told deputies that he saw a 60-year-old white man wearing blue jeans and a blue shirt at the side of the home, holding a gun towards the sky and the drone. The crew returned to the Walmart that had the drone fly back to the store. Deputies said that after inspecting that drone, they discovered about $2,500 worth of damage to the payload system. Now, the deputies then returned to the home where the alleged shooting happened, and they met 72-year-old Dennis Wynn. Asked if he had had an incident with the drone, Wynn said yes. He told the deputies that he saw the drone flying over his home, prompting him to retrieve his gun and start shooting at it. He said that he had experiences with drones flying over his home, and he believed that it was watching him. So he was subsequently arrested, charged with shooting at an aircraft, criminal mischief, and discharging a firearm on public or residential property. So there you go.
Yeah, you guys definitely have a good way of, dealing with UAVs.
There's no ambiguity at all there, is there?
Yeah. I mean, he literally said, yep, the drone was watching me. And the two guys in Walmart shirts are like, no, we were delivering something. Like, yeah, no, it was watching me, so I was going to shoot at it. We got shot at once over northern Alabama in a military. I was in an Osprey doing low level, and we always do that at night, or 90% of the time we do that at night. And sure enough, we saw like gunfire coming out from somebody's farm. They were shooting at us in the sky. Can you believe that? Now it's nighttime and we're pretty loud, and it's just green lights flying through the sky. So I'm sure the person probably thought it was just some kind of UFO landing finally. But yes, Masha, I'll give you a good old yeehaw.
Honestly,
I'm glad you did that. None of us.
Yeah, none of us.
I was waiting for one of you guys to do it.
No, Nev.
I was going to say, do you remember, Carl, when we were at the drone summit, EASA and the regulatory authorities generally were talking about this exact problem, not just the incorrect operation of drones from the pilot's point of view, but what the penalties might be for endangering an aircraft, which is the category that we're now in, isn't it? So, as always with these things, the rules and regulations are slightly behind the technology, but I think there's scope here for considerable fines, prison sentences, and all sorts of stuff, depending on what jurisdiction you're in, obviously. But amazing.
Honestly, just keep thinking of shotguns now and Western stuff. Anyway, Nev, you got the next story, and we're going all freight for the next story.
Yeah, well, I'm really pleased to see this, actually. It's on flightglobal.com, and it says that Airbus has shown off a mock-up of its A350 freighter and is highlighting its large main deck cargo door as a key feature. The aircraft will have a maximum payload of 110 tonnes, and Airbus has yet to detail a formal payload range chart, but as previously indicated, at ranges of 4,550 nautical miles at 111 tonnes and 4,700 nautical miles at 109 tonnes. Airbus is intending the freighter to enter service in 2026. Well, the aircraft's main cargo door, which the airframer is branding as the XL, will have a width of 4.3 metres, and specifications for the aircraft last year put the door opening at just under 4.2 metres. Airbus claims it will be the largest cargo door on the market, and the XL door is designed for the transportation of all current and future Ultrafans aero engines and one-go entry of the longest items, it adds. It offers comfortable clearances and safe and easy ground operations, minimising the risk of damage to the surrounding structure, avoiding delays and flight cancellations. Well, Boeing's 777F and Israel Aerospace Industries 777-300ER SF conversion have main door widths of 3.7 metres, and Boeing indicates that the 777-8F will also have a 3.7 metre door. Airbus has designed the A350 freighter to be named the Dash 1000F with a 70.8 metre fuselage, shorter than the passenger Dash 1000 but longer than the Dash 900. It has secured orders for 55 aircraft. Pretty impressive. And of course, it's all about ease of loading and unloading in these situations, isn't it? Because obviously the time that the aircraft's on the ground, it's not earning money. And depending on which part of the world it's going to, they may have different ways of doing all this. But if you've got a big aperture to begin with, shall we say, that's not a bad starting point. But that's an impressive range too, isn't it? To carry 111 tonnes of payload over 4,500 nautical miles. That's
big number,
pretty
isn't
good.
It?
Yeah.
It's interesting when you think, isn't it, how Boeing have dominated the freighter market for so many years now with the 777. The 777's been the market leader, I think, for freight, but now Airbus are now finally kind of.
I think also because presumably the A300s that they've operated for such a long time with DHL and others, the engines and all the rest of it, I mean, I would imagine that the fuel burn is quite high on those compared to the more modern machinery as well. So as long as Airbus had those aircraft operating and the spares were available, that they kept them going. But this is a new leap into the next generation, isn't it?
That's quite a wide door as well. 4.3 metres is quite impressive. Thoughts, Armando?
Nope. You guys are spot on.
Yeah. Depends if they sell plenty, though, because obviously the market is quite saturated with the freight carriers now with the Boeing.
55 is a good start, though.
I think they'll be fine because you have the old 737 freighters that are getting a little long in the tooth now, and some of the 75s. I think UPS just decided to retire all of its 75s. Sorry, not UPS, FedEx just parked its 75 freighters. So there's definitely a market for this. There you go. Captain Cruz says FedEx UPS initially ordered the A380 freighter, which Matt has always talked about on this show. It's like, why don't we do that?
Yeah.
So I think the A350 is probably going to fill that gap.
Yeah, definitely.
So from one cargo story to another, this is on the aircargonews.net, and IATA air cargo volumes increase over 14% in May. The air cargo industry has clocked up the sixth consecutive month of double-digit year-on-year growth, thanks to trade growth, e-commerce, and ocean freight capacity constraints, reported IATA. Total demand in May, measured in cargo ton kilometres, or CTKs, rose by 14.7% compared to May 2023 levels. There's also a 5.3% rise month on month. Air cargo demand has moved sharply upwards in May across all regions, said Willie Walsh, IATA's Director General. The sector benefited from trade growth, booming e-commerce, and capacity constraints on maritime shipping. The outlook remains largely positive, with purchasing managers showing expectations for future growth. Some damping, however, could come as the US imposes stricter conditions on e-commerce deliveries. Don't I just know it? From China, increased costs and transit times for shipments under $800 may deter US consumers and pose significant challenges for growth on the Asia-North America trade lanes, the world's biggest. Similar to the month before, the largest contributors to this strong annual rise in May were carriers from Asia, Pacific and Europe, which together contributed roughly 2/3 to the increase. These airlines represent respectively the largest and third largest region by traffic volume, said IATA. Capacity measured in available cargo ton kilometres, or ACTs, increased by 6.7% compared to May 2023. This allowed industry to set a record in global monthly capacity levels, commented IATA. So IATA's data showed that African Airlines saw the highest percentage growth in demand, with a rise of 18.4% a year on year, and demand in the Africa-Asia market increased by 40.6%. Wow, to May 2023. Asia-Pacific Airlines continue to see strong demand, with a rise of 17.8%. Demand on the Africa-Asia trade lane grew by 40.6%, while the Europe-Asia within Asia and Middle East Asia trade lanes rose by 20.4% and 19.2% and 18.6% respectively. European carriers also had a solid result, achieving 17.2% growth. Intra-European air cargo rose by 25.6%, the fifth month in a row of double-digit annual growth. And Europe and the Middle East routes saw demand increase by 33.8%. There's lots of other figures bantered about there. It's safe to say that cargo has grown immensely, and I think it's the fault of Temu.
Wow. Okay.
No, I tell you what, it's opened my eyes since I've started working for the company that I've been with now for nearly a year. We do ship a lot of stuff into Europe and into the US as well, because we are a US-owned company. But for us to ship into the US costs us a fortune, and if we ship by air freight, the costs are phenomenal. They are probably 4 times the cost of shipping by sea on a freight container. If you ship by air, it is very expensive indeed, and the amount of hoops, paperwork and stuff you have to fill out when shipping across to the States as well is I don't have to deal with it, thank God, but it is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Mrs. Nev has got a degree in export documentation.
Oh, good. Does she want a job?
No, she did it as an Open University degree probably 30 years ago, and she said it was very challenging back then, let alone with the new requirements and all the rest of it. So, quite a piece of work. So, the people in your company that do that for you, you should buy them lots of sweets and chocolates and thank them.
Yeah, the paperwork is just ridiculous. I mean, they go on about saving trees and saving on paper, but honestly, the amount of stuff that we have to send across with the shipments we send is just ridiculous. Nev, you've got the next story, and could apply to some of our listeners.
Well, do you remember? I don't know how many years ago this was. Your airline would say to you, check in 1 hour before your flight is due to take off. Can anybody remember that? I can.
Yeah.
I don't know whether anybody else can, but that was plenty of time. Oh, no, not now, though, because it says on viewfromthewing.com, United Airlines has updated its contract of carriage to double the amount of time you have to show up in advance at the airport, although they're not enforcing this yet. So for domestic flights, with or without checked bags, passengers must check in at least 60 minutes prior to departure. This is increased from 30 minutes, which is a doubling. Even I know that. I have to say, though, that did seem a bit short, 30 minutes. For international flights, passengers must check in at least 75 minutes prior to departure. This is increased from 60 minutes. Some specific airports have different check-in requirements. I find that horrific, I have to say, because we're talking about 3 hours check-in time in the European region from a lot of airports, and 2 hours for domestic or just European flying. However, according to United, they're not enforcing this, but they might do in the future. Matthew Clint suggests that the airline needs to update its contract of carriage now, since tickets that they sell today may be for travel at the end of May 2025, and the contract of carriage in place at the time of purchase applies to those tickets. He speculates that United could make this change as soon as June 2025. Basic economy customers aren't even allowed to check in online using the airline's mobile app. That means anyone travelling basic economy must arrive at the airport early enough to make it to the front of the line an hour before departure. And however long that takes depends on United staff, how many tickets they sell and how many kiosks they provide at a given airport, and you won't know that in advance, of course. Well, sometimes online check-ins fail for certain itineraries, or lines to check bags are long. United is working with a premium carrier and to cater for customers with a high opportunity cost of their time. People who show up at the airport later because they're busy, they're working. This is a move that certainly works for the convenience of the airline, but is a bit customer unfriendly. Now, I have to say, Armando, I'm shocked by this. I didn't even realise that you could check in at, T minus 30 minutes for a domestic flight in the US.
Yeah, legally, yeah. 30 minutes, and then the boarding door closes 15 minutes. So you had a very short window to make it to your gate there.
Wow.
One of the best, I spent, a third of my career in Europe. And Nev, what you said about 2 to 3 hours showing up for international travel, which is kind of the equivalent of our domestic travel here. That's probably one of the, aside from bacon rashers and duck fat, that's probably like one of the best things that I brought back from Europe. Was now when we travel as a family, we're a 3 hours before departure type family. And it is just so nice. It's so nice not to rush. You just go through security. If the line's a little bit longer, it's fine. It's no big deal. We go, we eat. Now, I think your guys' airports are much better suited and designed for this kind of thing, with the shops, and you have really good restaurants there. And even Stansted, and doesn't even have to be that big. And it's really good restaurants. It's really set up for that kind of, hey, I'm going to spend a couple hours at the airport. Ours aren't, like typical American everything. We're just like, go, 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 go. So
it was that was the thing that surprised me so much, actually, Armando, was a lot of it was like fast food restaurants rather than sort of like where you go for dinner. Do you know what I mean?
Downs,
yeah, it was sort of very sort of, as you say, and I guess that ticks the boxes of the go, 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 doesn't it? There were lots of little outlets where you could get, something quick, or you could get a pasty or a pastry or something like that. But if you actually wanted to have a sit down dinner, especially because, as you say, we're always so silly early because we don't mind being in an airport, and you want to sort of watch out the window for a bit and all this kind of thing, and there's nothing better than, even in Ireland, wasn't it, when we were coming back in Dublin, and the lounge where, the little it was the little cafe, I suppose, wasn't it? We also did have a pint of Guinness at 6:30, but we'll gloss over that and move on. But that was the thing, wasn't it? We had an incredible view out of the window, didn't we? We could see all the apron and lots of planes sort of taking off and all that kind of thing. It's weird, isn't it? We almost make it a bit more of an event going away. Do you know what I mean?
Which I think is great. I think you guys do that really well. But the majority of the American public, I think it just is like it's just another mode of transport, and you're just trying to squeeze it into the smallest amount of time, and you try to pack. Like, I love making the airport experience, maybe not a whole day adventure, but at least for my family, especially because the whole family's into aviation.
Yeah.
So we don't mind spending extra time at the airport.
Captain,
it's just nicer not to be pushed.
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Captain Cruz is saying in Taiwan in the late 90s, I often bought my ticket at the counter about 10 minutes before scheduled departure, both domestic and hand carry. There you go. Wow.
That's like the movies, right? Like movies when you could just show up to the, and they write you a ticket and you just go through, and there wasn't security, right? Like, there wasn't that much security back then. You could just go straight through.
Definitely. You wouldn't get away with that now.
No, you wouldn't.
So, next story is now we've gone on to complaints now.
Wait, why is Nev not reading this next story?
Well, I'm hoping Nev will have some input on this. This is from travelmole.com, and the reports are in. Airline passenger complaints up in 2023. So, air traveller complaints last year were up nearly 90,000. US Transportation Department received a total of 97,000 submissions, with the vast majority of complaints about various issues such as delays, flight cancellations, and disabled passenger service standards. There were 86,000 total submissions in 2022. It was the highest number of air travel complaints since 2020, and amid complaints about COVID cancellations, refunds, and vouchers. Last year, though, the flight delay rate was 21% of all flights. About a quarter of complaints last year involved overseas-based airlines, and complaints of airline discrimination were up sharply, although still remains a small portion of total airline complaints. Now, a short story, but question is, Nev, have you ever had the need to complain to an airline for a serious reason?
I don't think. Well, let me think. I don't think I have. I've complained to the airport about staff leaving the locked doors open airside in those sort of tunnel areas where they do all the catering and all the rest of it. I actually did get a nice email back from Heathrow security folks to say thank you very much for making us aware of that, but I see it all the time, to be perfectly honest with you. But no, apart from losing luggage and things like that, where I've just put a regular claim in and they've paid out, I don't think I've actually ever complained to an airline before.
Armando, same to you.
You know what? I can't say that I've ever complained either. Quite the opposite, actually. This is what I was looking for. I was looking for these little, they're like little vouchers that American Airlines gives you when you reach Platinum Pro and above, and they send you like a sheet of sort of 1 inch by 3 inch terrible thing, little vouchers when you have a good experience. And I have done plenty of those where I've seen cabin crew or gate agents going above and beyond, and I'll just fill it out real quick and I'll hand it to either an agent or a supervisor, and it's very, very basic. Your information, so like the status member's information is pre-filled out, so all you have to put is the employee's name, if you can get their employee number, but you just put the flight number that you were on, what the date was, and then what they did well. And it's a very quick way to on the spot recognize somebody for outstanding service. I remember that the last time I did it was one of the last times that I was on the show talking about that medical emergency that was happening in I don't know, whatever airport I was, and the gate agent was just doing such a phenomenal job of trying to control the situation. And not only did I give her one of these vouchers to submit to her supervisor, but also a $10 Starbucks gift card saying, go get yourself a cup of coffee because you earned it.
Nice.
So, but the short answer is no, I've never filed a complaint, but I have done at least a dozen attaboys to the airline.
Matt, have you ever had to complain to Ryanair when you've flown?
I could say that's essentially the only sort of stuff that I've done really is I've definitely been in scenarios where I've been frustrated. I do share. I know, Nev. You've had some grave concerns about boarding, and even our Dublin flight was a bit of a ridiculous sort of experience in terms of that, wasn't it? But I've never sort of had reason to complain directly to the airline. Actually, no, they let us down on special assistance once.
But that would be more airport, I'd imagine, wouldn't it? Than
Yeah,
the
but
airline
yes,
itself.
to be fair, yeah. Again,
Yeah.
but you have to complain through the airline because it's the airline, if you like, that are paying for it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, as soon as it was made aware, they went absolutely bananas in and couldn't have done more to sort of try and put it right. So, I mean, it was probably just a genuine oversight. But that's really the only reason I've had to sort of, yeah.
I'm on the same boat as Armando. I've sent a letter of, compliment to the crew. That was with BA actually, Nev, flying out to Oman quite a few years back now. I think it was 2019, I think it was. We flew out to Oman with BA, and the crew was so good. Honestly, they could not have been nicer. Honestly, and I just sent an email to their social media team, and I got a reply as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah, they've actually got a special portal if you want to send a positive comment about your flight, and if you want to mention cabin crew or flight deck crew by name, you can do that as well. And then if you're part of the executive club, I don't know whether you have to be a gold member to do it, but you can send a golden ticket, which gives a specific crew member recognition inside the airline. So yeah, I tend to send things which are positive, but not negative. And well, I mean, that could happen, couldn't it? But I've never had any reason to do that. Might want to send some to some of the ground handling agents, but that would be an essay basically. But yes.
Richard E. Flagg is saying, nobody ever complained on my flights. I think they saw the size of me and thought that would probably best not to.
Yes, taking direct action.
Of course,
Yes.
always.
Fully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Matt, you've got
Oh, have I? Oh.
the next worrying story, I think. I don't know what
Indeed.
Nick was doing putting this one.
No, okay. Well, we'll do I
Be a
really-
bit careful because I might have one of my Dutch colleagues listening to this as well. So
Right.
see how we go.
All right. I'm not sure. Do I really have to? I'm not comfortable with this. I've got to be honest.
Well, we can skip it if you want. If you think it's too much.
Yeah, I'm going to skip it. I think, Carlos. I'm afraid I'm not
All
comfortable
right.
reading
Well,
it. to be honest
we'll
with
have
you.
we'll have a go at Nick.
Yeah,
that one.
Indeed. Yeah, no, I'm not reading it.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the next one then?
Yeah,
Matt?
sure. Okay, all right. So avgeekery.com is the website, and Pan Am to return for a limited time only. Oh, hello. The headline reads like an April Fool's joke, but there is actually a real announcement by a travel agency to bring back Pan Am for a limited time in 2025. The goal is to provide an exclusive experience recreating their transatlantic routes in pure luxury for 50 lucky and well-heeled customers. Pan Am was once seen as the pinnacle international carrier. Their flying boats defined the early era of long-distance airline flying. Pan Am was also the first to fly the jumbo jet. Over time, though, much of their luster faded. The airline faced greater competition and was forced to sell their lucrative rights to Pacific Flying, eventually leading to the collapse of the original airline. 2 additional restart attempts of Pan Am also failed. Is Pan Am really coming back? Instead of resurrecting a dead airline, a company called Centurion Travel is bringing back the Pan Am name, logo and experience for a limited event. The travel company says, as we are becoming more accustomed to travel being a commodity, usually a way to get from point A to point B at the most economical price, we offer a reminder of the golden age of travel, a time when the travel itself was a glamorous experience and when the journey was as important and special as the destination. The plan is to set up a multi-city excursion with luxury stops on both sides of the Atlantic from the 27th of June through to the 9th of July 2025. Along the way, you'll be pampered with lie-flat business suite accommodations in a specially outfitted Boeing 757 that features a throwback Pan Am experience. At each stop, you'll dine at the finest restaurants and stay in luxury accommodations as well. For av geeks with such exquisite tastes, the experience will set you back a very, very mild, and if you say it really quickly, it won't hurt, $65,500. If you bring a partner, you'll both save a bit, as long as you don't mind sharing a room. Prices for couples are just a very humble $59,950,000. Wow. You better hurry.
Ouch.
Though. This limited engagement...
Hurry?
Yeah. Only has 50 seats. The new adventure is led by Craig Carter, who is now known as the CEO of Pan American World Airlines, LLC. The LLC has licensed the Pan Am logo and brand for the experience. One of the questions being asked here is, will the Pan Am 757 feature a Pan Am livery? Unfortunately, there is no word yet if the leased or chartered 757 will feature the Pan Am billboard livery. Surely, if you're paying $59,950, they can afford a little bit of a paint job. But anyway, there we go. Perhaps I'm being unfair. Notably, though, by the way, Pan Am never operated the 757 during any of its 3 iterations of the airline. It is rumoured, though, that New Pacific Airlines plans to outfit their jets with business class seats for charter operations after they ceased scheduled service earlier this year. However, there is no word yet on whether the company will be providing travel for this limited engagement. We'll keep the story updated as we learn more. I think for me, if they're going to do this, I think the cabin inside should be retrofitted as well. Yeah. I think if you're going to do it, then I'm sorry, it needs to be the appropriate livery on the outside and inside. I mean, didn't we do a caption this once, didn't we? And it was like essentially like a la carte fine dining with a trolley down the thing. I mean, I dare say in this day and age you wouldn't be able to put those seats in them. They're probably not certified for
they'd be too
modern air
comfortable
travel, to be fair. Absolutely. So
and they should definitely use the old the original Pan Am. You've got, there's a picture on the story, the original Pan Am logo. I mean you've got to do that. You've got to reuse that livery.
So, like, Pan Am and the logo has made a bit of a resurgence here on clothing, on novelty items, purses, tote bags. Like, surely somebody is able to license the logo. So I feel like it wouldn't be too far of a stretch to paint that 7.5 in Pan Am colors.
I mean, they've obviously licensed the name. I assume that comes with the rights to use the branding as well. If you're allowed to use the name, I mean, surely they go hand in hand.
I won't lie. If I had 120 grand to spend, I would do this for Meg and I. I would totally take 10 days and
love that,
and travel Europe in a Pan Am branded 7.5.
Yeah. Yes, so their locations, as I say, according to the map there, we've got New York, Bermuda, Lisbon, Marseille. You've got London and also Foynes. So I mean, there's plenty of options there. It looks like fun.
Thanks. If I pan my camera around in the studio here to my wall selection of patches, there we go.
Actually,
apart from obviously the TriStar ones with the obligatory TriStar, I do have the Pan Am one there.
Yeah, I keep my my flight documents, so like my medical, my passport, and everything. All my licenses are in a little Pan Am.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah,
very nice.
Indeed,
I would do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you ever fly with Pan Am, Nev, when you're with your travels in the past?
No, I never have. The only US carriers I've ever flown with have been United, American, and Delta. So not the original Pan Am at all. I'm afraid. Oh, and Continental as well. Sorry,
Continental, yeah.
Nice.
No, it's a nice trip, but I think at that price, you'd either have to have a lot of money in the bank or be retired and have a lot of money in the bank, or both. Yeah. Now, Nev, I'm going to get you the last story here because I think obviously you are well, you love work, but If this would ever happen to you,
I just despair as I've been reading this story. It's on joe.co.uk. And it says that a woman was left in the unenviable situation of being on the same flight as her boss after she'd rang in sick.
What?
Bumping into your boss outside of work would be awkward at the best of times, but pretty unlikely. So you'd have to be pretty unfortunate to end up on the same flight as them on the same day you've just pulled a sickie. But that's exactly what happened to Grace, who's a TikToker who'd called in sick so that she could hop on a flight to Bali. She works freelance as a content creator for a European company, but often travels back home to her native Bali. After realising she needed to return to Indonesia, she told her company that she had an appointment with a doctor because she was sick, so that she wouldn't be able to work that day. When she boarded the flight, though, she opened her phone to see a picture of her manager, who had taken a crafty photo of Grace on the flight. In the TikTok about the ordeal, because that's obviously how one communicates these days, Grace wrote...
Get with the times, Nev, come on.
Sorry. Me taking a sick day just to end up in the same airplane as my manager. The video had racked up more than 1 million views, with many taking to the comments to react to this pretty nightmarish scenario. One person commented, "I'd cry like a baby and give my resignation letter." Another said, "Not the manager labelling the photo as me," in inverted commas. Others shared similar scenarios that they'd experienced, with one person writing, "I thought it was bad when my manager phoned, but because I texted her I was sick, I had to answer the phone whilst at the airport. There was an announcement like boarding at gate number in the background." Somebody else recalled, "I had this happen in college, was planning to be ill," in inverted commas, to get out of homework. Ended up on the plane to Turkey with my teacher. It turns out that Grace and her manager had actually bumped into each other before boarding the plane, so she had been caught before they both sat down a few metres from each other. She told the Newsweek publication, "Long story short, I was waiting in the line and then I saw a familiar face coming to me, which called my name. When her boss saw her, he sarcastically asked, 'Oh, so is this a hospital?'" It seemed like he saw the humour in the situation, though, with Grace saying that they were both laughing together about the whole thing.
Were they, though?
She said, "We ended up talking all the way to the airplane, and whilst we're inside, he took that picture and sent it to me."
And then promptly gave her a P45.
Absolutely.
I wonder what HR would have to say about that.
Well, I mean, the moral of this story here, why would you lie about something like that? I get the important... Yeah, actually, Mash is right on the money there. This is sounding a bit like a PR stunt. Yeah, she's probably right,
I agree.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sorry. Lying always gets you caught. Oh, Mark Priestley says she had a twin sister. Yes, of course. That's the
genius. That's exactly what I would say. I'd be like, "Oh no, that's my twin."
Twin. Yeah, there's the issue.
It's not the act. It's the cover up that will get you, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with most employers, especially ones where your role is in social media, I mean, surely you can have a conversation with them about, all right, you might have to take a day's unpaid leave or something like that, but you know, these things do happen. If you have made a screw up and you realise that you're going on the wrong day or whatever, it's just like you deserve to get caught out. Sorry, you deserve it.
Never catch Nev doing this.
Ooh.
Anyway, you could do now, Nev, because you haven't got to worry, really, have you? You know, you could.
No, I'm actually, this is the first time in my 40-something years of working that I've worked for a US company. There's reading the contract of employment as I was the other day. I don't know why, but there are an awful lot of things that you can and can't do, and it's made very explicit that there's no room for ambiguity at all. I'm not sure this falls into that category, but nonetheless, I think you've just got to, be sensible, haven't you? Really, no matter who you're working for.
Yes, and don't get caught. Right,
there is that.
Time to hand over the show to Armando to introduce the next very special part, actually, special segment intro.
Yeah, since you guys have been talking about plane spotting locations around the world, and I actually am looking forward to getting some listener feedback about this, about everybody's favorite places to go watch some airplanes. But we came up with one ourselves here in Charlotte. So Matt, hit it.
Hey guys, I'm here with my junior field correspondent, Maddie. This is a little bit of a follow-up to Nick's experience plane spotting down in London with his son, Henry. So I had to give a big old shout out to our airport overlook here in Charlotte Douglas International Airport in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, when we moved here a couple years ago, there was an old overlook right over there somewhere, but it's all been torn down. It's all under construction. We were a little bit sad when they said they were going to tear that down, but very quickly they said they're going to build a new one. So here we are at the new Charlotte Airport overlook. Maddie, what do we have over there back there?
We have playground back here.
That's a pretty big playground. And the middle part of the playground is for bigger kids. There's a smaller kid part over there.
Yeah.
And they have some of these like plaques that are explaining some of the facilities on the airfield, like the control tower, the fire station. And what's over there, Mads? Sorry, I'm right back here. I don't know. Yeah.
Like there.
Yeah, I don't know. Right there. Right in the middle.
There?
The big playground part. What are those, like runways?
Yeah, they're like mini runways.
Mini runways? I guess you could have races on there.
Yeah, me and Aaliyah had races.
That's right. Her friend Aaliyah. We came down here the weekend that it actually opened up.
And
then
Skylar was being an airplane.
That's right. Skylar, one of our friends.
So.
And now one of the coolest parts about this park is that's a real life Navy F4 Phantom. Let's go take a look at that.
Okay.
Okay, so over here is a Navy F4 Phantom. I don't know what year it's from, but it is not a replica. This is a real aircraft. I think this was donated by the Carolinas Aviation Museum. I don't know, Maddie, how big would you say that airplane is?
I don't know.
Pretty big, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Bigger than a couple cars, maybe a couple trucks even. So that's right here in the middle of the playground, and kids can get up close and personal and experience it. But it is, after all, an airport overlook. So one of the most important parts is that it actually overlooks the airport. Now, some people are actually criticizing the location of this because they're like, well, it's kind of farther from the runways than the old one. Well, it is, only for now, because Charlotte announced a couple years ago that they're going to build a fourth runway, which is exactly right here where this dirt mound is. So eventually, in about 2 years, this park is going to be super close to that fourth runway they're building. Now, over on the other side is the arrival end of runway 18 right currently, and you do get some pretty good vantage point and pictures of airplanes landing there. Now, another part of this playground is that there's picnic tables everywhere. There's real restrooms, and the city has announced that they are going to do food trucks on the weekend. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there's going to be food trucks here. So really great job by the city building this whole big Charlotte airport overlook and playground. Our little old city of Charlotte, North Carolina has not only one airport overlook, but two airport overlooks. The second one being right here at the newly reopened Sullenberger Aviation Museum. This has been closed for about 4 years, undergoing renovations and going to a new location. And Maddie and I were actually here for opening weekend just last month. Actually, Maddie, what was your favorite part of the museum?
Probably the rocket maker or like airplane maker in the like craft area.
That's right. There's a whole like STEM science museum area. And basically they have the kids put anything together and see if it flies.
Yep.
Now, the mainstay of this museum is Cactus 1549, which is the Airbus that landed on the Hudson River in New York. That was a pretty cool exhibit, isn't it, with the airplane? The actual airplane that was piloted into the river where everyone survived. So this museum, right in the courtyard, there's actually a C-130. There's a DC-6 coming in there. If you look way back in the distance, there's that Piedmont Airlines DC-3. That's eventually going to come to this hangar right here, which they are just finishing up. And right in the middle of the courtyard, there is a big like bleacher area.
Yeah.
And that bleacher area is right, I mean, it's probably...
You can see planes landing.
So close, right?
It's really, really close.
It's got to be less than 100 feet from the taxiway for the departure end of 18 left. and some of those, those are big international airliners,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have friends that fly here at Charlotte Douglas Airport, so every airplane that taxis by, we're like, is that one of our friends flying?
Yeah.
So that's the second overlook. If anybody is in the Charlotte area, you've got multiple choices. Also, we're just on the other side of the airport from the terminal, and I do believe there are shuttles. If nothing else, you can just Uber it. If you have a long layover, you can get an Uber over to this side of the airport, come to the Aviation Museum, kill a couple hours,
Yep.
at least 3 hours.
Yeah.
It took us, right, like 3 to 4 hours, and it's not even that big. Yeah, there's a lot to look at. So
Yeah, and we watched the movie like 4 times.
yeah, they have this documentary movie about the actual 1549 and Miracle on the Hudson.
We saw it 4, and then we watched it 2 more. Because we just saw clips of it, so.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. So here is the Sullenberger Aviation Museum.
Wow. Love that, Armando. Thank you for that. So
It does look
cool.
amazing.
And thank you, Maddie, as well. Awesome.
Yeah, she's getting the hang of talking into a camera, but I can, out of all the places I've been to in the world, Charlotte with these 2 overlooks, and literally, if you have a layover in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is international or domestic travel, book yourself a long layover, probably 6-8 hours or so, and pop over to that Sullenberger Aviation Museum because it's really worth it. It's not super large right now. They're still building it out. There's only 1.5 hangars plus the visitor center, and there's a little outdoor area. So a lot of the airplanes are still set over in the closed runway 5, but those will eventually start making their way over into the museum, and it'll continue to grow. But even as it is right now, that having Cactus 1549 there as the centerpiece of the museum, that's totally worth. You could spend 3 hours just walking around that airplane and in amazement that it stuck together like that.
Shame we didn't get nothing like that here in the UK. Apart from Dublin, though, aren't they, Nev? Where they're building that new one.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Netherlands 1, England 0, by the way.
Oh, crikey. Oh, no. We've only been going 11 minutes, haven't we?
10 minutes.
They scored in the 7th minute.
Of course they did. Lovely. Oh, well. It was fun while
That's
it
our
lasted.
side.
Yeah, lovely.
I'm sorry. Somebody said? Is that the round one or the egg-shaped one?
It's the round one. It's the round one. Or as you guys like to call it, soccer.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso. I remember.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, absolutely. It's like that, only at Wembley, essentially.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. It's instead of at the Emirates Stadium, it's at Wembley.
So it's time for our retro airline ad of the week. Nev, what have we got this week lined up?
Yeah, now, of course, we all know the Boeing 727, especially those that have not been equipped with the Hush kit, to be quite a noisy affair. But back in 1968, Eastern show us how quiet the Boeing 727 Whisperjet can be.
Check and set. Flap lever. Up. 3 on. Speed brake.
You're in one of Eastern's whisper jets. The noisiest section is the pilot's compartment.
Yep.
We keep the door closed.
Flaps coming 5.
In the cabin, it's quiet. The jets and the noise are behind you. The Whisper Jet climbs to smooth cruising altitude faster than any other jet airliner. It's the most relaxing plane there is. Fly Eastern. See how much better an airline can be.
I mean, that's an ad of its time, is it not?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, the thing you could say about the 727 is that it had very good high lift devices, so it was very good to get in and out of the smaller airports and the hot and high airports and things like that. One thing you could not say about it, I don't think, was it was a whisper jet at the time and subsequently either. So
No. Indeed.
Yeah, what they didn't show, the editing was amazing. The 3-mile trail of black smoke coming out of those engines.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Who'd have thought they had access to, sort of like CGI and stuff in those days?
well, yeah.
Indeed. Richard Adams is saying, smoking on board. Crazy that used to be allowed. I mean, even I can remember, even in my sort of, you know, you were all at the back of the plane, like it didn't drift to the front. Do you know?
No, I think the last one I went on was an Egypt Air, what would it have been? Probably Egypt Air 74 from Cairo back to London. And that was late 80s, I think.
Okay.
And there was the smoking section at the back of the aircraft.
Love that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Never did anybody any harm, eh?
No. Well, we know a lot more now, don't we? So.
We do. We certainly do.
I remember that FCL Anglaise in the chat rooms just mentioning the Caravelle. Do you remember the Caravelle, Nev, had those interesting shaped windows?
Yes.
Along the fuselage. They were kind of like they weren't like an oval or a round. They were kind of like how do you call it? Kind of like a funny sort of shape, like
oblong shape.
Oblong, shaped windows, the Caravelles. But yeah, do you remember the Caravelle, Armando? It was one of those kind of airlines that didn't. I think there was quite a few in Europe, Nev. I don't think they made it over to the US.
No, they were primarily European.
Yeah. So Armando, are you with us for a little bit longer? Do you want to take the first in your next segment?
Well, there's only two stories. Yeah. I see you guys have trimmed it down. So
right,
Matt, if you're ready, let's hit that button.
What's up, bogeys? 13550 Angel 16. Heading 340. Okay. Now undersea boogie.
When do I speak? I forgot how to do this. Is it now? Okay, now. No, okay. Talk now, right? Okay. No, just kidding. From aerotime.aero, this is a pretty amazing story. The United States Air Force's 22nd Aero Refueling Wing has just completed the world's first round-the-world nonstop flight using the KC-46 Pegasus, which, of course, as we know, is the newest tanker aircraft in the Air Force. The aircraft flew westbound in a 45-hour flight. That's 45-hour flight that began on June 29th and finished on July 1st, 2024. The KC-46 departed from McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita, Kansas, and returned to the same location for landing. Captain Cody Donahue, who has been planning that mission known as Project Magellan, emphasized that the reemergence of a high-intensity conflict creates the need for crews to be able to operate for longer durations than they have in the past. This flight was the latest, yet the longest of these maximum endurance operations, which are testing and extending the travel time and the range of the new KC-46 Pegasus. These operations are enabling the aircraft and the support for these long duration missions to be used for military operations, but as well as for humanitarian operations should they be needed. McConnell Air Force Base showcased this aircraft refueling capabilities during this mission. The tanker fueled a range of other U.S. Air Force aircraft around the world. They've refueled some B-2 bombers, a C-17, some F-15s, and even another KC-46 somewhere along the way. Now, as you can imagine, to fly for 45 hours, you need to get gas somewhere. So 2 other tankers were sent to Guam. KC-46 is to Guam, and then there was a KC-135 out of Mildenhall there that used to refuel this particular KC-46 that was making its way around the world. This whole thing, one of my first questions was, how many pilots did they have on board? Well, they said that they only used 2 basic crews. So that's basically just 2 pilots and maybe a relief pilot. So only 6 people on board, plus the boomers in the back. So they did this whole 45-hour mission with just 2 basic crews, 4 pilots, 2 boom operators, and they took just turns resting on the aircraft. Going forward, they're looking to have a crew of 4 pilots operate for up to 48 hours, if you can believe that. So, pretty impressive that the airplane stayed airborne that long, using some support.
Which is okay if you're in business class, but a flight that long, 45 hours.
Yeah, the good thing about a KC-46 is you can do laps, you can do sprints, shuttle runs up, from the front to the back to the front to the back, and maybe play a little bit of basketball inside, and then have some nice. It's got a pretty nice crew quarters, galleys, so I'm sure they had plenty of food on board, and it's probably just monotonous for 45 hours, but yeah, pretty impressive, huh?
England have just won a penalty and scored.
Kane just scored a penalty.
Carlos, I don't know if I can get used to the prospect of you giving any form of commentary involving any form of sport. I'm not
it's
sure.
For the listeners.
I'm not sure how comfortable I am with this. I'm not sure I could cope. Hot off the presses, by the way, Armando, and he's only doing it because you're here as a special guest. There we go, look. Fresh from the Jonathan Warner archive.
Oh.
That must have been, was that a fair bird?
Ooh,
that doesn't look like Mildenhall. It's too many trees.
Yeah, I dare say.
He'll say.
Give it a minute.
Probably fair bird.
Absolutely.
Next up on the list, Royal Air Force RAF.mod.uk. RAF participates in major Pacific exercise. So the Royal Air Force personnel and aircraft have deployed to Hawaii.
Oh,
there's a way to join the RAF for that. For the largest military training exercise in the region, 2 Poseidon P-8A maritime patrol aircraft arrived at Hickman Air Force Base to join over 25,000 personnel from 28 other nations participating in RIM of the Pacific 24, or RIMPAC. The aircraft departed RAF Lossiemouth in early July at the start of a 7,000 nautical mile journey to the Honolulu via a refueling stop in Goose Bay, Canada, an overnight stay near Seattle. On arrival, they were greeted by Indian Navy Captain A.K. Singh, Deputy Commander of Combined Task Force 172 for the exercise. The biennial exercise will see members of CXX and 201 squadrons fly and train alongside other maritime patrol squadrons, fighter aircraft, 40 surface ships, and 3 submarines. Engineering and operations support personnel will also operate alongside multinational colleagues, with others embedded within the exercise headquarters. The Royal Air Force is also participating in exercise Pitch Black in Northern Australia. Both exercises provide advanced training opportunities, working with partner nations to plan and conduct large integrated force exercises. RIMPAC represents the longest and furthest range exercise to date for the Royal Air Force Poseidon Force. It is also the largest gathering of Poseidon aircraft, with squadrons from the US Navy, Indian Navy, Royal Australian Air Force, Royal New Zealand Air Force, and Republic of Korea Air Force all taking part. Other maritime patrol aircraft will also be involved, including those from Japan and Canada. And the 9-strong RAF Poseidon fleet based at RAF Lossiemouth are fitted with advanced state-of-the-art anti-submarine warfare and anti-submarine warfare sensors, which provide global protection to UK, NATO, and our allies' submarines and warships. So, they're over your neck of the woods then, Armando, stateside.
Yeah, if you want to call it that, middle of the Pacific. The RAF has only had the Poseidon since 2019, I believe. Yeah. So relatively new to operations, right? So 5 years is a pretty short time to be operating. So these exercises, I always say on the show, these exercises are so important to test new capabilities, test capabilities of your training, and it's kind of like stressing the system. So the RAF is obviously very good at what it does, but flying in these sort of massive multinational environments, which are simulating what a large conflict in that region would look like, is important to practice should the day ever come. Hopefully it doesn't, right? But it's so important to get your crews used to operating with other countries. So really, really happy that they made the trip out there.
Once again, hot off the presses from Jonathan Warner.
Another Poseidon.
He's stretching my technical capabilities once again. There we go, honestly. Oh, how I missed that. Not.
I think it was 9. How many did the UK order? I think it was 9 Poseidons. This is pretty good. It's a good-looking airplane.
Yeah, not had a chance to go on board one yet. We weren't allowed one. I think it was at RIAT one year when we saw those. It was when they first got those.
I think it'll be a while before
we strangely enough weren't allowed on board.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a minute before you go on a P8.
Yeah. But compare that with the Nimrod that's at Norwich Aviation Museum, which you can quite freely walk on board, which is quite interesting, yeah.
Well, even when you go into that Nimrod, you kind of think, wow, this is, pretty fancy technology for late 80s, I suppose, is the last time that airplane was retrofitted before it was retired.
Yeah, and the one at Norwich is, I think, off the top of my head, the guys there say it's 95% all there, everything, and you can literally walk on board and have a look.
I mean, the Nimrod was Gulf War era, wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. So it's back this week. Caption This just for fun. Pitch of the week. Now, Matt's going to pop this picture up on the screen that we had on our Facebook page this week for you all to comment on. Nev, if you'd like to explain to our listeners what this week's picture is all about.
I do not understand it at all. What have I missed?
Well, in this... normally,
you wouldn't miss there.
In a situation where you have the lav in the aircraft, there is no window usually at all. So obviously people can use the lav when the aircraft's on the ground as well before it's pushed off the gate. In this instance, there is a beautifully positioned window directly behind it, so for everyone to see what's going on. And our viewers and listeners were not short of comments, I can tell you.
Yes, kicking off. Do you want to take the first one, Nev?
So someone called Nick Anderson, I've never heard of him, says the Lou Blue seemed to be affecting the clouds.
Oh, there's that blue stuff. Adam says, this is quite a good one, very apt. Poo with a view.
Oh, my. Stephen Tyus is saying the sun sets, a moon rises.
John says, warning, window opens if flush handle is pushed too hard.
And that would be an evacuation.
Well, quite.
Michael, Biff Button says, flying over the house... Flying over the Houses of Parliament have never been so enjoyable.
Don't know what they mean.
Bill says, if you stand up whilst the plane is getting ready to land, will you get charged with indecent exposure?
Yeah. Entirely possible. Mazouz Karim is saying sometimes you just have to ventilate the room after a number two.
Oh,
I like that I get the military one. James says the new premium upgraded bathroom allows you to aim your load at a specific target on the ground.
Oh my.
Gordon,
Bob's away.
Yeah, just make sure you pull the pins. Gordon Bennett says a loo with a view. Very, very true.
And then Paul says number 2 with a view. PT UK Airlines really do look after you.
Indeed, absolutely. And finally, Ben Jones says, having a crap on Cloud 9. There we go.
I thought it said carp.
Carp, is it right? Sorry. Yeah, similar. Yeah.
I just have to make a point of saying that if that toilet was the other side, it would make for a really...
Be a nice view, wouldn't
pleasant.
it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Richard Adams is saying, close encounters of the turd kind. Along with not wrong with a bit of light relief. Oh no, Mr. Warner is saying the high altitude version of dropping your kids off at the pool. Oh dearie me.
Very good, Mr. Warner.
There goes the show rating.
I'm surprised that one wasn't put on the Facebook page.
Yeah, no, quite, absolutely.
Very good.
Indeed.
Very good.
There we go. Anyway, a little bit of fun there.
Thank you for everyone who's contributed in that this week. I've got another one. I've got a really good one lined up for this week. So if you don't already follow us on Facebook, make sure you follow us on there. And there'll be a brand new picture coming up on there. I'm going to might get up tonight, actually. So I'll give you
a whole week to cause carnage.
To carnage on there.
Yeah.
Actually, what's Captain Cruz saying here? What does he say there in the chat room?
I used that before in the SAS 737-600. Nice view while, I don't know.
Reading the newspaper.
Drawing pictures.
Drawing pictures, yes, exactly.
Drawing emoticons. Anyway,
Right, so it's time to start wrapping up the show, but we've got some info, obviously, for our meetups for this year. Now, Nev, we have got 2 special meetups lined up for next month and September, haven't we?
Yeah, so let's give you some information about that. So firstly, Saturday, August the 3rd, we're doing a PTUK fly-in and meet-up at Beccles Airfield in Suffolk. And the ICAO identifier for that is Echo Golf Sierra Mike. Meeting up at the airfield from 10 o'clock in the morning. There's a restaurant on site, so we'll be able to sit down and have lunch together, and maybe a slight beer for those who aren't flying or driving. If you would like to stay there, there's actually quite nice accommodation on the airfield, but you've got to book up quickly as it will get booked up. And if you're flying in, you will need to register a PPR booking before flying in, and details of that can be found on their website. So all of those details you can find on becclesaerodrome.co.uk, or you can email the club directly at ops@becclesaerodrome.co.uk. And their phone number, if you want to call them, is 01502 476 074. Must emphasise again, it is PPR, so you can't just rock up. Basically, so tell the airfield that you are coming, and then in September, it's the Duxford Battle of Britain air display. It's actually over 2 days, Saturday the 14th and Sunday the 15th of September. We're going to be there on the Saturday the 14th of September, and the entertainment there is from 8 a.m. in the morning until 6 in the evening. Flying starts around about 1 o'clock. It is advance tickets only. You cannot just turn up again here at Duxford. So if you would like to book tickets, go onto the Duxford website, and the tickets available from £49.50 plus a £5 car parking fee. And children aged under 15 go free. With standard tickets only, and the War Museum members save 10%. So I say we're going to be there on the 14th of September, which is the Saturday. So don't forget, if you are an Imperial War Museum member, you save 10% on that entrance fee. So let's hope the weather is kind to us, and finally we have some summer, at least on those 2 or 3 days. But looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good little meetup, hopefully, weather permitting. I think the long distance forecast for the 3rd of August at the moment, Nev, is good. So let's hope it stays that way.
Well, you have greater faith in the Met than I do.
I know. We could all hope. But yeah, it's a shame on Monday you can't just sort of quickly whip over for,
it's a bit of a flight.
It is a little bit of a stretch, yeah.
I like Beccles. I remember when you and I flew the 150 out of Beccles. That was nice.
Yeah.
Cool little airfield.
That is even better. Now they've done all the redesign and build and all the restaurant and bar and everything. It is very, very nice indeed. But we did get confirmation a few weeks ago that hopefully, fingers crossed, with the weather being good, that a certain Captain Al will be flying in to see us there nice, in his Piper as well. Yeah, so it'd be nice to see Al there.
Mr. Warner's saying, by the way, I used the park and ride last time I went to Duxford last year for our little meetup. Surprisingly smooth entry and exit, especially as I left as the dead sparrows were up. He's not a fan of the red arrows, is he?
Yes, well, I think. They are really good, but it's one of those things that when you do regularly attend air shows like Jonathan Warner does across the UK, you do kind of tend to see them a lot.
Indeed, I suppose. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the novelty hasn't worn off for me yet.
Right, I still enjoy them. And I must admit, when was that we saw in Pittsburgh? That was the...
Oh, that was the Thunder something.
Was it the Thunderbird? It was the Thunderbirds,
wasn't it? Thunderbirds, that's something very different. That's Jerry Anderson, dear boy.
the Thunder Chickens.
That's Chickens, sure. Yeah. That'll do, yeah. It's something like that, isn't it?
What the Thunderbirds.
It is the Thunderbirds. Oh, it is the Thunderbirds. Oh, all right. Okay.
Actually,
in that case, I owe an apology, Carlos. I'm so sorry.
I watched that documentary series about the Blue Angels that was on Armando. It was recently on.
It's amazing. Isn't
It was so good. It was so good. I forget which streaming platform it was on now. I
think it's on Prime.
I think it's on Amazon Prime. Yeah. But it was so well put together, and it was so interesting to see that the goings on behind the background as to how blooming difficult it is to get to that level of flying with the Blue Angels.
Yeah, and speaking of close formation, it's funny that Jonathan Warner says 9 egos in close formation. I remember the flying at Seething because we were Pip, Al, and I were supposed to form up in the air, and I think we were all flying Piper products. So like I think Al's got an Arrow, and I was in the Cherokee or an Archer. I think we were in our Archer, and it was funny because Pip had the whole cell phone thing, so they had to go back. So I did end up joining up on Al's wing coming into Seething, and I remember us landing, getting back down on the ground. He's like, well, mate, I certainly wasn't expecting you to be that close to me. I was like, hey, what do you expect from a military guy?
I remember.
All safe, of course. All safe,
All safe, exactly. But no, going to do a quick round robin before we wrap up the show tonight. Going to start off with. We'll start with Armando. What's going on in the world of Armando next week?
All the usual. Back to flying. I'll be in Houston all week next week. We've got a couple trips over the next couple of weeks, but closely or very, very close to recurrent training again. So first week of August, back to the simulator for our annual recurrent. Back into the sweat box for a week.
Ow. Nev, what's going on with you?
Yes, I've got one of those BA companion vouchers, which means you can take a friend with you to somewhere. And so Mrs. Nev and I are going to Jersey on Monday, coming back on Tuesday. Was hoping to try and meet up with John Falk there, but unfortunately John's, I think he's in Belgium that week. Well, two things. Hopefully our flight deck crew can put it down in the touchdown zone this time, so we don't have that horrible smell of brake as we did last time. I have never stopped so quickly on an A319 before, and the smell that went with it. But actually, we're going to be joined at the airport about the same time that we're going to be there by King Charles himself. Ooh. Not the Spaniel, but the monarch. So the King is visiting the island at the same time as we are, so perhaps he'll come up to us and say, "Oh, this is Mrs. Nev."
Oh my God!
Very good, very good, very good.
Oh my God!
Yes. So we might see His Majesty there, and he might, more importantly, he might see us there. That's the thing, isn't it?
No, you are well famous.
You won't.
Global star that you are, Nev. I mean, if you know.
Oh, there's no point in asking me anything. I can't talk right now.
Anyway, no, I shan't ask you then, Matt. Matt's going to be busy next week.
Yeah.
Doing things.
Doing things with stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
With stuff, yeah. And like I said, I shall be having a barbecue. Hopefully this Friday, if the weather's good. Friday evening, I'm going to be having a nice barbecue, lots of beer, and going to be enjoying the weekend this weekend. And the highlight of this weekend for me, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm taking both, me and Gemma are taking both our goddaughters, all two of them, to the zoo this Sunday.
Ooh, which one?
We're looking forward to Banham Zoo.
Oh, excellent choice. Love that.
Yeah. We got them a family pass for their Christmas, so we're taking them to Banham Zoo on Sunday, and the weather forecast is looking nice. I'm really looking forward to that because we don't get to see our.
I love all this faith he has in the Met, Nev. I know. The Met.
It's a zoo. You'd be fine. Bring a raincoat.
True. Yeah.
Actually,
that's over by Thetford, right?
Yes, sort of. Well, between Dis and Thetford.
Yeah, between Dis and Thetford.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I must admit, Armando, I have, since I paid for the premium service, I have been using Windy quite a lot. I find that quite accurate.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Windy's probably one of the best weather apps out there.
Well, even here.
Yeah.
It's worldwide. I think it's actually the coders, the developers are over in Europe somewhere. I think it's Eastern Europe.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, it's a very good app for weather. So yeah, right. That is where we're going to wrap up the show. Big thanks to everyone who's tuned in tonight in the chat room. Thank you all for joining us on the show tonight. I'm sure some of you will be whisking away onto TV to watch England probably lose against the Netherlands. Just saying.
It's 1-1,
Anyway.
isn't it, at the moment?
At the minute, it's
Draw at the
1-1,
moment.
yes.
It's all right.
It's 1-1,
okay.
yeah. We've got a chance, I suppose.
Yeah.
We never know.
Cheer up, Carlos.
Although we're never going to win against Spain. Let's just say if we do get through. Just saying.
Well, you know.
Controversial, I know. Coming from someone who doesn't follow football at all. Anyway.
The punditry is award-winning. That's
I
all I'm
know.
saying.
Big thanks to Nick, who couldn't be with us as well tonight, for putting together the show notes. Also, thanks to Armando for joining us this evening. It's been great to have you back on again on the show.
Nick will be
Great to
absolutely
see
gutted
you.
that he missed you.
I know.
He'll be
pretty
absolutely
upset.
gutted.
And thank you, Nev, as always, for joining us this evening. And,
pleasure. Good to see everybody again. Yeah, it was great to be back.
So, from me here in the home studio, from Nev in his home studio, and from Armando in his lovely home studio, and from Matt in the PTK Master Suite Studios, have a fantastic rest of the week and weekend, and we'll see you next Wednesday for episode 511. Hey, say goodbye, Armando.
Hi, Armando.
And then the king said to me, well,
Back on Ash.
Oh.
Was it the king or was it just Nev? I'm so confused about who's who.
I
now.
know.
It's just like...
Nev is the new voiceover for the AI king.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, that was just an AI voice. That
Was it right? Okay. And is it? Did we by any chance? It's a shame they finished filming The Crown, Nev. I think.
I could have done with some extra money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely the way forward.
What you need one of those Snapchat filters, and then film yourself with the accent. I think that'd be good. Down with the kids.
Yeah.
Using Snapchat.
Down with the. Oh my goodness.
That's a
The trouble is, my Prince Charles impression sounds like King Charles impression sounds like Prince Philip, unfortunately.
Yes, yes,
Doesn't
indeed.
really
Yeah,
work.
it all sounds the same to me. So
Yeah,
I just thought it was
Oh
funny.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, there we are. I don't know if we're ever going to recover from that.
That's been a good show tonight. Good chat room. Thanks everyone as always for tuning in.
Definitely.
I missed the chat room.
Yeah, the chat room's awesome.
Oh, hello, chat room.
Buongiorno.
It is still a little weird to be on a Wednesday and not a Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, you've still got to go to work tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I was genuinely at one point just thinking, right, I haven't programmed my show for tomorrow. I've got what? Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Nice comments in the chat room there. Masha, thank you.
Nice.
Next week's show will be streamed from the Tower of London.
Yes, I think so. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, as long as I've got a good internet connection.
From the gallows.
Well, quite.
Nev will be showing off his crown jewels.
Oh.
Hey, you.
That'll definitely get him in the tower.
How's that for a caption this?
That's the show title
wait.
for this week.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
we've got kids watching.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
Right,
Oh,
we
dear.
better say goodbye to the chat room.
I'm still
people.
slightly astounded you did that on air, Nev. On the bit that will remain in the podcast.
Well, I don't think the royal family listens to PTUK actually.
You never know.
Well, they should do.
Absolutely. They don't.
Oh, we
they
do
will.
enough military and enough, you know.
They're an aviation family.
So yeah, exactly.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway,
Oh no. Yeah, I agree, Lois. You tell them.
Yeah. I mean, my puppies are hungry.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what she said.
Ass.
Anyway,
Okay. On that note.
okay. On that note,
Yeah.
right.
The love of all that is good
the
and
lo-
holy.
Final words from Nev to say goodbye to our glorious, beautiful chat room.
Other than an apology, obviously.
no, it's been great. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Everybody really enjoyed it as always. And I'm going to watch the footy now. It's still 1-1 at the moment. Let's see how we get
Tense
on.
times. Tense times.
Hope you have a nice remainder of the week and the weekend. And we'll see you same time next week, Wednesday at 7 o'clock UK time. Meantime, bye for now.